ओम परतत्वे सदा लीनो रामकृष्ण समाज्ञया यो धर्म स्थापन रतो वीरेशम तम नमाम्यहम. Friends, today we have taken up a topic which can be called the conclusion of our Rajoga classes, or which can also be called the conclusion of our classes on all four yogas. And this is actually from within the Swamiji's commentary on Patanjali Yoga Sutras, second chapter, 25th Sutra. Swamiji has stated something very important, and it is so important that we call it Swami Vivekananda Chatusutri. There is a famous Chatusutri of Vedanta. The first four sutras of Badarayana Vyasa's Shariraka Mimamsa or Brahma Sutra, and those four sutras cover all of Vedanta from sadhana point of view. Similarly, from spiritual life point of view, these four, not four sentences, there are 5 sentences, but 4 paragraphs. From these 4 paragraphs, entire idea of why I call Swamiji, the entire idea of spiritual life is covered, entire idea of spiritual life, including what we call religion. These days there is a attempt at separating religion and philosophy, which is absolutely untrue. That is only religion which is spirituality, otherwise there is no religion. Swamiji will explain that also. Now, the placing of that, I told on the last time, in the smaller book, before the preface it is printed. You see this? This is preface, Rajoga preface, and these are the 4 sutras. Those who hold complete works of Swami Vivekananda in their hand, there the arrangement is slightly different. That is why I want to show you. This is Swamiji's Rajoga complete works, first volume. Here the Rajoga starts. Now, immediately after this, the sutras are not there. Preface is given first. And after preface, before introductory, chapter 1, there these 4 sutras occur. So the arrangement is slightly different between the smaller book and the complete works. In the smaller book, before preface it is given. In the complete works, after preface, before introductory it is given. So these are the 4 sutras. So now we'll start discussion. I read first a line from the 4th sutra. First I read a line from the 4th sutra. And that is, this is the whole of religion. So that is what I was telling you. That in Swamiji's mind, or any right thinking person's mind, religion means spirituality. And if it is spirituality, then only it is called religion. Religion as we understand it, Swamiji takes it up also. Swamiji is never negative in his approach. So he does not condemn what we call religion. But if you follow the 4th point, this is the whole of religion, doctrines or dogmas or rituals or books or temples or forms are but secondary details. So what we call religion today is this. Doctrines or, we shall explain later on, doctrines or dogmas or rituals or books or temples or forms, this is what we call religion today. And so we distinguish between religion and spirituality. And Swamiji does not condemn these things. Swamiji calls that these are but secondary details. So that is the placing. Now one more funny point I will make. In this Kali Yuga, the word meaning are reversed. You must have heard the word fundamentalism many times. What is fundamentalism? That which has nothing to do with the fundamentals of religion is called fundamentalism. This is Kali Yuga. Sticking to external forms of religion is called fundamentalism. Nothing to do with the fundamentals of religion. So what are the fundamentals of religion that I will explain? And Swamiji does not talk of Hinduism here, mind you. This is the whole of religion. In English there is a per se, religious per se. That means religion in its own nature. That is this. And we call it fundamentalism. Anyway, this is a funny observation. Let me now turn to this subject. Now, these 4 sutras are so important. I remember I have taken classes on this for 7 days. Yes. Anyway, it will take us out of the thing, but if you want to know the event, in Coimbatore B.Ed College, a new subject was introduced, Indian spiritual ethos or Indian spiritual heritage. And in that one topic was these 4 sutras. And the then head, Sri P.S. Avinashi Lingam, I was in Chennai. He invited me to give a talk to the B.Ed teachers because they have to teach further. And he had given me 7 days to talk on this. Anyway, but now, having heard 4 yogas of Swamiji, it should not be difficult for us to assimilate. So, I may complete in today also, or 2 classes at the most. Now let us start. Each word is important. These are called sutras, aphorism, Chatusutri. Each soul is potentially divine. Now, according to my style, let us discuss word by word. Each, what does it mean? No exception, that is the meaning by each. Each soul. Of course, each is a Visheshan here, adjective, so we can discuss soul also. Okay, what is the soul? You tell me. Huh? Each soul. So this is not the real nature of Atman, is very clear. Atman is one without a second. So soul stands for what? Jiva. Now what is a jiva and how many jivas are there, you tell me? What is a jiva and how many jivas are there? Can you tell me? Huh? I will give an example. A tree is there, living tree. So it is a jiva. Now I cut a branch from that tree and put it in the ground. It grows as a tree. So it has a jiva. So a number becomes added. You understand? So you said uncountable. Yes, immeasurable. Infinite you may like to call it. Okay? May not be infinite, so your uncountable is a correct thing. Immeasurable. But in this sense there is no, what I want to tell you is there is no fixed number. Now, some jivas are inclusive. Suppose we see a forest. Now each tree is a jiva. In India we call it Vriksha Devata. Okay? And the whole forest, Vana Devata. So this Vana Devata includes the Vriksha Devatas in our body. You know, there are uncountable living organisms. You know that. Bacteria, what you call, are present in our body. They help us digest the food. About one type of bacteria at heart, so that will be very helpful in this respect. They are placed somewhere in the urinary bladder. And suppose they are displaced from there and go to the urinary tract. It is called a big disease, terrible disease. I am just telling you to feel that their bacteria are present. If they are go to other place than their habitation, it is a disease. So, now I am a living being. So my living being includes all the bacterial living beings. They are all souls. So understand soul. So there is no fixed number through this soul. They are uncountable. And now Swamiji is talking of each soul, you remember. Now how a soul is determined, each soul? We can think like this. There is a body-mind complex. You know that. Individual, actually if you go into details, there will be no end. There is no individual body at all. You cannot define an individual body at all. Swamiji has explained this nicely. We have studied that already. In the 4th chapter of Practical Vedanta, Swamiji has discussed this. A stream is flowing, and in between it makes a whirlpool and goes away. That much is the existence of a jiva. In our body, that food which is in front of us is not our body. And we eat the fruit, it becomes our body. And excreta, then it is not our body. We cut our hair, we cut our nail, then that is not our body. How do you define an individual's body? Impossible. But there is something, there is a mind. And this mind also changes. This mind absorbs the thoughts of others, gives away its own thoughts. But this mind has a tendency of creating, this is I and this is not I. This is a creation of our mind. So each soul means creation of our mind. And on analysis, what it is? Body is not my soul, mind is not my soul, though the entire Western world thought the mind is the soul. They called it bright body and so many other things. The Western world, or rather Semitic religions, Aryans and Semitism, like that you have to separate. In some book, in some recent article, I read the name Abrahamic religions, Abrahamic cultures, Semitic. Example, Egypt. If you count from religions, Islam, Christianity, they are called Semitic religions. No, Christianity has an idea of soul sometimes, but the present Christianity, they have no idea of the real soul, real self, not at all. So what is an individual soul is undefinable. What it is, as much as we understand, the Indians, consciousness. Write down this definition if you like. It cannot be defined, but I am trying. Consciousness somehow associated with a particular body-mind complex. The body-mind complex itself is a mental feeling, nothing more than that. I have shown you, there is nothing called my body. There is nothing called my mind, because you are listening to me. My thoughts are entering into your mind. It has become your mind now. And if I reject some ideas or thoughts, they are not my mind now. And even then this mind has a quality to divide the entire world into I and not I. Okay? But after this mental division, the mind is not the soul. That is not the Indian or real idea at all. There is a consciousness. And that consciousness can be defined as I consciousness. A consciousness which has I in it. Let me give another example given by Swami Vivekananda. A tiny ant is crawling upon the railway track, and a gigantic engine is coming on that track. The ant crawls down to save itself. The engine does not do any such movement. If you use robots or anything, you have filled in that intelligence. In computer it is called secondary intelligence. You have made the program. So the ant knows that it exists. We don't know what it calls itself. We call it ant. But I exist as a soul. I exist as a jiva. I exist as my consciousness in this particular body-mind. Now understand each soul? Wherever there is a formation of a body-mind complex, the consciousness which is universal and eternal, which has no I or you or mine, is what? Generally we call it is reflected in that. I said somehow associated with that. In another way, it is not called reflection, it is called limitation. The example is sky, or space rather. Now we introduce an earthen pot in the space. So we feel there is space in the pot. Space has not been divided. But we feel there is space in the pot and space outside. And the pot is shifted, the space is not shifted. Now the space in the pot is different than the previous space in the pot. And the space in the pot is not at all different from the universal space. So the individual soul is sometimes conceived as limitation created by this body and mind. Understand this example? Bhagavan Buddha has called it, his philosopher Nagarjuna, Loka Samruti Satyam, Loka Samruti. That means in people's limited mind, that consciousness. So it may be a reflection. The example is one sun and so many pots of water. Everywhere sun is reflected. But suns are not so many. I have given one example, if you remember, time and again. Consider a big hall, conical at roof, and a focus light there. And there are partitions in the hall. And the partition does not reach the roof, not necessary. And we have a doctor's chamber, an engineer's chamber, in commercial chamber like that. And in all the chambers, we do not keep any light. We make the chamber walls, all walls as mirror walls. Visualize this. So the light, the focus big light gets reflected in all the mirrors. And in that cabin, I can see you, you can see me. I cannot see what is in the other cabin. That man cannot see what is in my cabin. And if there are 3 or 5 chairs in my cabin, not necessarily that other cabin may be blank of furniture. If there is dust in my cabin, that will not go to the other chamber. This is the jivas. Now, okay, I think I have been able to explain each soul as much as it can be explained. This is soul. The light within that chamber is the soul, not the walls, not the mirrors, not the furniture. They are like our body and mind. But the light within that chamber, which is nothing but a reflection of the big light, okay? So this is each soul. In our language, we may say, in the commonest language, the I consciousness. I feel I am there. Feel may be a weak word. I think may be a weak word. I know. Again, consciousness. I know I am a jiva. Okay? This is each soul. Now the next word is potentially. What does this suggest? You have heard the word potential? In many respects, in the matter of energy, we say potential energy and kinetic energy. That means if something is falling or rising, then it is expressing some energy. That is called kinetic energy. But there is something which I hold above, like this. There is energy, I do not see it. If I leave it, what will happen? It will fall down, showing energy. So at present, what is there? Potential energy. You understand potential? Now another way of explaining potential. We say this boy or this girl has tremendous potential to become such and such. We are not seeing that today. But those eyes, they see. Understand? So unmanifested, unexpressed, but the possibilities, that is called potential. And in this respect, you can word the word potentials also. Understand? A man may become a good writer, good speaker, good this, good that. There are so many potentials. But the root of all that, there is a potential. The unexpressed, not necessarily energy, something. Now what is that something? Divine. What is divine now? We may use the expression God. If something belongs to God, it is called divine. If something belongs to man, it is called human. Now suppose people do not believe in God at all, then how will you define divine? Not human. Understood? Human, we call in English, human, Sanskrit, we call it laukik. And something extraordinary, something which is infinite, something which is not limited, that potential is in every person. Patanjali, and following Patanjali, Swamiji has given an example. There is a sutra, Tata Kshetrikavat. That means there is a river or a water reservoir. We can think of it as containing infinite water. Think of it. And there are gates made in that water reservoir. Sluices they are called. Or we dam a river and then there are sluices in that dam. And from each sluice, the water comes to a particular field by the channel. We dig a channel from that sluice to our field. Okay? If you want water, what we do? We just open that sluice. Now how much water can come? As much as we want, if the reservoir is infinite. So that infinitude is potentially with us. We can use it when we like, if we like, if we can control it. So this, now think in another way. Man is imperfect by nature, incomplete by nature. Man has so many wants, man has so many needs. We call it in Sanskrit abhav. Man has so many types of abhav. Now imagine a man with perfection, or imagine God if you like. It is perfect, no want, no abhav. If you want to use funny language over it, there is abhav of one thing. What? Abhav of abhav. Understood? So if there is abhav of abhav, that is divine. Think in another way. We say we are imperfect. We just now discussed incomplete, but imperfect. That means there are merits and demerits in that sense. Now there can be somebody, God, or that infinitude, it will have no demerit. Demerit is due to our limitation, that's all. Our ego or our idea or our consciousness that I am a limited jiva is the source of all our bad things. If that is not there, think of the hall as it is. Think of the people living near that light. So, no imperfection. This is divinity. I think I have given as much ideas of divinity as is possible. The original idea of divinity is, of course, God. Godly. We always visualize God as perfect. Otherwise there is no God. He is a man-like. Only power does not define God. He is awareness. He is pure. He is perfect. I will give a small example, living example. When Holy Mother Sarda Devi came to Dakshineshwar from her village at the age of 18 roughly, it was a full moon light and she was looking at the moon. And she prayed to God. Even on this full moon, praised by all the poets, there are black spots. Oh God, may I not have any black spot like that. Understood? Craze for perfection, I will call it. Now connect. Swamiji is telling each soul is potentially divine. That means today we do not see it. Otherwise it would not have been potential. But what we see is not the full picture. We do not see the infinite possibilities in a man. But they are there. Now how Swamiji coined this word? Swamiji sees, again our language, Swamiji sees God in every being. And he also sees that the person concerned does not know that he is God. So potential. I will again give an example. After the second visit to the West, Swamiji was returning to India. He had a group of admirers or devotees with him. And they were walking on foot in Egypt. Now it was the duty of his escorts to take him to the proper places to show. But Swamiji was talking of God and they all got lost in that talk. And they unconsciously entered a small lane, narrow lane, where it was in modern times it is called red light area. That means prostitutes were inhabiting that place. And when they came across the prostitutes, they felt ashamed that where we have brought Swamiji. But Swamiji, seeing them, said, divinities. Now you understand divine. Divinities. But being too much attached to the body, see what they have made of themselves. That is what Swamiji said. Divinities. But due to excessive attachment to the body, see what they have made of themselves. So Swamiji is seeing divinity. They are not aware of their divinity. Otherwise they would not have been attached to the body. We are also attached to the body to some extent, to a large extent. Seeing this situation, Swamiji says, potentially they are divine. The result of this Swamiji's vision was that they felt something in them. Anyway, so we need not complete that incident. But this is what happens. So it is a combination of two things. Swamiji is seeing every soul, each soul, maybe bacteria, maybe animals, maybe birds, maybe reptiles, maybe dangerous animals, maybe poisonous animals. But Swamiji is seeing the same divinity everywhere. But he is also seeing that we, or that particular individual, is not aware of his or her own divinity. So that has made this word potential. Okay? We move to the next sutra now. Each soul is potentially divine. So this is what we may call it, the statement of truth as pursued by Swamiji. The statement of truth as pursued by all the sages in the world. And it has a mixture. Sages perceive divinity everywhere, and they are also aware that the man is not pursuing divinity. Understood? Now, what is the corollary? Tell me. Automatic corollary, not man-made something. Tell me, intelligent people. If I am potentially divine, then what becomes my goal? To manifest this. Sri Ramakrishna has given an example. There is a thief in a room, and somehow he has come to know that in the next room there is a lump of gold. Can he keep quiet? He will start thinking, devising means of how to dig a hole and bring that gold. If we become aware that we are potentially divine, if we really become aware, if we feel like that, only rationally thinking will not do. If we understand, if we feel that potentially we are God, outside we may behave like demons, outside we may behave like human beings, outside we may behave like animals, but potentially we are that infinite, all perfect, no wants there, bliss. Bliss is the main thing. No misery there. Absolute happiness, absolute consciousness, absolute infinite existence. If we become aware of that, and we know we are not manifesting it, we know our manifestation is very limited, hopeless, maybe good and bad a little. Maybe I am better than other person, maybe I am less than other person, but not what I am potentially. If we really feel this, will it not become all my effort to manifest that divinity and become God actually in my life? So I am calling it the corollary of the truth. Truth is each soul is potentially divine. Potentially divine. Divine potentially. So the goal is to manifest this divinity within. Within means not manifest within. Divinity within. Divinity which is already within me has to be manifested in my mind, my body, my behavior, my life, my actions. What will happen then? Then I will have no want, I will have no misery. I will have no old age, I will have no death. So the automatic corollary of each soul is potentially divine. The goal is to manifest this divinity within. Now the question is, why it is potential? Why it is not manifested? What is gone wrong? Tell me. First thing is that we are not aware of that. And because we are not aware, because we are thinking of ourselves, let me say, because we are thinking that we are limited beings, all our defects have come. Our body, this body is mine. So the body habits are based upon my wrong knowledge. Mental habits, thinking, feeling, will, all, imagination, are based upon this wrong knowledge. And they have gone out of control. I have no control over my mind, I have no control over my body. If a man grows from birth, from childhood, what is the sign that he is growing? He is gaining more and more control over himself. A small child does not know that it wants to pass urine or stools or anything. But as he grows, he gains control over it. A small child is so restless, it moves his ear, this eye so much. As he grows, he gains control over it. Now, control does not mean stopping. Control means passing in a proper direction, channelizing. One common example I always give. There is a river in Punjab in India, Satluj, and it was called the destroyer of Punjab when it becomes out of control. And that Satluj has been channeled. And the channels are running through Rajasthan, a desert area. And today if you travel through Rajasthan, it is difficult to believe that it is a desert. Because the Satluj water has made it fertile. It is called control. Giving it a proper direction. Now what are the things over which we have to give proper direction? Then this manifestation will come. In our mind and in our body, the divinity will be manifested if we control the mental habits, if we control bodily habits. Nature. We are not going to control the world, nature as it is. External nature means the habits of our body. Internal nature means the habits of our mind. We are not going about to control. The example of Satluj I gave, but that will not give me perfection. Any control over the world without control over myself will make me an asura, will make me the worst demon. So control over external nature means control over my bodily habits. Control over my internal nature will mean control over my mind. And control is not stopping, giving a proper direction to my thinking, feeling, will, mainly. And corresponding bodily habits. Okay, second sutra. Now, third sutra. Okay, second sutra. Do this. What Swamiji is implying here, do this. Do this means this theory will not help you. Knowing this will not help you. Knowing that goal of life is this will not help you unless you do it. So do it will make the whole thing practical. Do it will make the whole thing as a matter of sadhana. As I uttered the word sadhana, I remember one incident. That listener is not in this group. He joins my other university group. One gentleman, around 35 years of age, a Muslim by name, Amir Imamovich, came to Rishikesh. I am not giving the full history. He came to Rishikesh to learn from me. And I started telling him, I asked him, what are your present state of the mind? He said, I feel that the life which you are living is unreal. But what is that real? And how to realize it? Then I started telling him some ideas from the Kathopanishad. He says, don't tell me some theories only. Please make me do sadhana. He uttered the word sadhana. A man from Bosnia. I said, okay, let me make a background and then I will teach you sadhana. But from next day, I had to tell him something about sadhana. So what is sadhana? The practical aspect of this knowledge. Ishwara is potentially divine. The corollary is that we have to manifest it. But this has actively to be done. So Swamiji says, do this. By now, Swamiji should tell us the method. So see now, 2 classes it will definitely take. See now, Swamiji's broadness. And that is why Swamiji has called this is the whole of religion. He has not named any ism. Do this either by work. We will take individual thing afterwards. Let us read the whole sentence first. Do this either by work or worship or psychic control or philosophy, then dash. By one or more or all of these and be free. If you think of and be free, another name of the goal. One name of the goal is to manifest this divinity. And what will happen? If you manifest the divinity, you will be free. Let me talk of this freedom first today. Young boys and girls, they want freedom. And what is that freedom? That is freedom given to not to them, their consciousness. Freedom given to their senses. Let me think as I like. Let me see as I like. Let me smell as I like. Let me hear as I like. Let me behave as I like. They have no control over what should you like. This is slavery to your senses. And so the wise people tell us to write down this sentence. 2 types of freedom. Freedom of the senses. That is what they are seeking. And what a man really should seek is freedom from the senses. Freedom from the slavery of the senses. Freedom from the attachment to the bodily habits. The man is most bound or slave to his own ideas. He does not want to change them. If you ask a man 1,000 rupees, he will donate you. Ask him to change his ideas, he is not ready. So we are slaves to our ideas. We are slaves to think, I am a limited being, I am a limited being. Even if you tell him 1,000 times, you can be free, he does not want. I am a limited being. Something called inertia in man, tamoguna. But if that divinity is manifested, you are beyond any limitation. You are free. Free, as soon as you say free, the concept of bondage comes. We are bound by our imperfections. We are bound by our desires. We are bound by our wants. But we can be free. Now, Swamiji has mentioned 4 things. But 4 things I will discuss afterwards. Let us discuss this sentence first. How many choices Swamiji has given us, can you tell me? Here. Huh? It is what 4P4 or 4C4. You know 4P4 or 4C4? Combination or permutation? No. No. How much percentage of his Swamiji has left us free? So infinite Swamiji has given us freedom here. This you understand? Now why Swamiji has said like this? Why? Because each human being, we are now considering human beings. Each soul is all right, but goal of life is our conscious goal of life. And goal of life, you say, my aim of life is to become a doctor, to engineer. These are man-made goals. Because when you become an engineer, your life is not over. So goal of life is automatic corollary. And it is goal because afterwards you will not have to have any want or anything to do. Now a man has different powers in the mind. Okay? What are the different powers? According to Western analysis. In discussing Rajyoga, we have discussed this. I am giving the definition from New Webster Dictionary. Mind is the seat of consciousness, thinking, feeling and will. We know from Aitareya Upanishad and Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, mind is not this much, mind is much more. Imagination is a faculty of the mind. It is not thinking, feeling or will. And we have to control that also. But taking this broad division by the Westerners, if you do not have much thinking capacity, you cannot use it. Swamiji is not forcing us to use all faculties equally because we do not have them. Some people are highly emotional. They have only faculty is feeling, almost. There cannot be a man without thinking or action, but almost. In India and America in general, in India, Punjabis in particular, if you tell them, I am Brahmasmi or any theory, they will ask you, what we have to do, sir, then? Tell us something which we can do. So they are full of activity. And this is becoming common with all Indians now. Huh? But as I have lived and travelled from the south tip to the north tip and west to east, I can tell you this is the characteristics of a Punjabi. So tell me what I have to do. Now Vedantic knowledge does not require you to do anything. You have to realize yourself. So this is one thing in mind. Feeling, we have to refer to, no, don't mind me, don't blame me, I am just putting some province name to give an idea. It is common to all humanity, but I am taking some name. Bengalis, feeling is very prominent. Bhav. And we have the great poet Rabindranath Tagore. Assamese, near to Bengal, feeling. Now, thinking, where will you go? I will put Maharashtra there. Practical thinking. Anyway, now I will tell a Punjabi proverb on that. We act and then repent without thinking. They will say the South Indians. They think and think and think, they never come to practicality. I am telling you the differences only. Let these province names go. But we have some people who can think a lot. So accordingly the paths become for you. And this is the broadest idea about religion. Nobody in the world can equal this. And this has come from Bhagwan Sri Ramakrishna. And that is what Swamiji has understood from Bhagwan Sri Ramakrishna. That you can use your thinking if you have that, feeling if you have that, action you have that. And fourth thing is negative form of will, or you have self-control also. Self-observation, self-control also is there within you. As I told you, as the child grows, he grows in self-control. And this self-control has to be properly channelized. So in the broad way, the mind has these four qualities. Other qualities will be useful in everything. In thinking, feeling, will, control, you may have to use imagination. But basing upon this, and Swamiji has said, I have generalized them into four. In last chapter of Karma Yoga, we read that. So from this, Swamiji's four yogas were born. That if you use thinking more than other faculties, it is called Jnana Yoga. If you use feeling more than other faculties, it is called Bhakti Yoga. If you are using psychic control over other things, it is called Raj Yoga. That is the book which we dealt with up till now. Lastly. And if we use philosophy, thinking, that is Jnana Yoga. And if you are using action more, that is Karma Yoga. So all the four faculties available to man to be used for this purpose in any combination. We'll deal with this in the next lecture now. How to combine, how to harmonize, not ordinary combination, not synthesis, not eclecticism. Eclecticism, a little of this, little of that. Harmony, that we shall see on the next term. And come to the fourth sutra. So, Om Paratatve Sada Lino Ramakrishna Samagyaya Yo Dharma Sthapana Rato Viresham Tam Namamyaham. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.
Mm-hmm.